Hello everyone, Dylan Nix here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Trick or Treat Studios' Leatherface Mask from New Line Cinema's 1990 film, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, Leatherface. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. Now I got this on sale from Party City. Usually they retail for about $59.99, but I got this thing for 15 bucks online, and here it is. Now, of course, New Line picked up the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series in the late 80s, and they produced Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, and I think it was pretty much critically panned. I think the MPAA axed a lot of its gory scenes and kind of neutered it a bit. It was actually one of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies that I actually liked most. I think it's probably up there with my favorites amongst the original sequel and then the remake, the 2003 remake, which I actually think is really good and is one of my favorite horror films. But yeah, here it is. And I'm going to do some close-ups for you guys. But it's a nice looking mask. First thoughts. I just pulled it out of the packaging. And you know, I kind of like Leatherface's look in the third one. It just kind of, I mean, they're all gross, but in the third one he just looks kind of just really gross. And as you can see, I've got a screenshot here on my computer. You know, first thoughts, looking at it, it's nice looking. A lot of great detail. It's a nice sculpt. It looks a little bit different than the pictures online, which, of course, I mean, that's always the case, isn't it? But, yeah, it's a nice looking mask. I really think, I mean, it was a steal at $15, so I can't complain. That being said, comparing it to, you know, the movie, I think the hair's a little bit longer than it is in the movie or in the photos online that it shows, but that's okay, because you can always, I mean, it still looks great without it. There's some, like, blood smears on the mask, which, you know, are in the movie, but for some reason they seem a little bit overdone on this, I'll say. Especially this part right here. I think this is a little bit too much. But, I mean, it looks great. It has a great color. It actually, some parts actually look like skin and is kind of gross. And they've got some other nice little details. Like, one of the things I like is they've actually got leather threads for the tying some of the parts together of the skin here. I mean, they don't do it so, like, these is just part of the sculpt and then just painted to look like the threads used to sew it together. So they probably could have, if they had did this here and then here, I mean, that would have looked really cool. And then if they had actually done that here, that would have been awesome. But I mean, it's a nice sculpt, and I really think it's a nice looking mask. I would probably want to make the hair a little bit mattier if I really wanted to wear this like in a cosplay or something. Dirty it up some. Maybe even make this a little bit darker, a little bit more gritty and just grody. But I mean, just out of the box, it's really nice. It was sculpted by Justin Mabry, and again, this is from Trick or Treat Studios. And let's go ahead and put it on and we'll see what it looks like. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't really see what I look like, but we'll do some different shots in a second. It feels good. It actually, I have a pretty big head, so this actually fits really nicely. Most of the time when I put masks on, my head is just like squeezed in, and you know, but I have plenty of room in here, a nice open mouth space, nose to breathe. I mean, this is actually a really great feeling mask for someone with a head as big as mine. The hair's a little heavy. There's kind of, like I said, there's a lot of hair with this mask, so it feels a little bit much, maybe a little too thick. But that's just to me, that's a minor thing. I mean, if I wanted to, I could always get rid of some of this, but just for display purposes, it's nice. For cosplay purposes, it's nice. I could always modify it a little bit. But yeah, this Leatherface was played by R.A. Milahoff. I hope I got that right. I actually think he's probably my favorite Leatherface behind Andrew Bernowski from the remake. I hope I got his last name right too. So just a few more things about this mask. So it's not a full, I mean, it's got a full face, but on the back here, it actually ends about here, so it doesn't cover the whole neck. It's not a full hood or cowl, but it fits nice. I mean, there's a lot of room in here, which I really like, because like I said, most of the time when I wear masks, my head is just fucking so smushed, and it can be kind of a nightmare. But you know what? I really, really, really like this mask. I think for $15, I mean, it was a steal. For $60, I wouldn't be upset for if I spent $60 on it. There's a lot of cool detail in this mask. The nose has like some really awesome pores work. Like I have big ass pores on my nose, and this, I mean, it like I said, these little details really make it look like skin in some parts. Some parts, you know, make it look like a mask, but there's some nicer details that really kind of stick out. I think my biggest complaint is the blood splatters kind of make it look a little silly, and some of the other parts I feel could have been painted a little bit darker, maybe a little bit grodier, just to give it some more texture. But overall, it's an awesome mask. I'd definitely give it a 4 out of 5. You know, I'm really happy to own this mask. I think they're just now coming out with these from Trick or Treat Studios. I don't know how I got my hand on one, because there's not too many reviews of these on YouTube. But I'm glad I got this, especially for $15. But I would have been happy paying $60 for it. And if you're a Leatherface fan or just a horror fan and like to collect masks, I definitely think this is one of the better ones to have. They had the Leatherface Skinner mask at Spirit Halloween this year, and I tried that on, and that was, you know, only the face mask, and it didn't have a back, it just had a strap, and I think that one was $40, or maybe it was $60, but either way I saw that and I was kind of disappointed. I was, you know, I thought that wasn't really worth $60. I thought maybe at best $15, but it just felt weird, and I guess it was a nice face sculpt, but this to me is worth $60, and yeah. So if you get a chance to get yourself one of these, I feel like these might be kind of rare at some point, because not a lot of people like TCM3, but I do. So I'm really happy to have this. I'm going to display this probably on one of my shelves. So check it out. Get yours at Trick or Treat Studios today. I think you can pre-order them, and maybe even find some online that you can just order and get. So until next time, guys, just fucking live your life, I guess. And for all you horror fans out there, please feel free to follow my channel. I like to make horror films. I actually have made a feature film a few years ago called Baron Von Lafo's Halloween Spookathon. We have new Blu-rays out. We have a feature-length documentary about the making of on Amazon Prime. So if you're a member, you can see that for free. And we just put out a new short film for Halloween called Sharp Candy. So please check all that out and subscribe. And we'll be doing more mask reviews in the future. Coming up next, I have the Part 2 Leatherface Mask, the original sequel mask from Trick or Treat Studios. So I'll be doing a review of that as well. So thanks. See you next time, guys. Some nice pore work here, you know, that really kind of just makes it look like actual skin. This little tattoo, which is a nice little detail, looks a little silly, looks a little fake, but you know, it works. it's a nice little detail that they could have probably left out, but I like that it's there. It just looks a little silly, almost looks kind of like an afterthought, but you know, it works. Probably could have been painted a little bit better to look like an actual tattoo. But here's some of my favorite part. This looks great, the color in here. I wish this color was a little bit more used on the mask and other places, like it does it again here on the chin area. I like this color. This looks really cool, but again, if they had used these here, these leather threads on this part up here, that would have really looked cool in my opinion. Or maybe if they had even used not even leather, but like, you know, actual thread or wire or something, that would have looked really awesome in here instead of just being part of the sculpt. But that's a small thing, I guess. This blood, I think, is a little bit too much. It really kind of stands out. I feel like it could have been a little bit less. If you look at the actual mask from the film, there's not as much blood on here. I think this is more of like a sliver on the nose, but it does look cool. It does make it stand out. It gives it some more color. My only thing is I really think this whole part could have been a little bit darker, or at least a little bit added some more dark spots, just to make it look more grimy and gross.